Hey guys, it's Morgan coming to you with another Daily Shlog. And guys, we got a super special guest here. Nico from Boston via Pucón, Chile is here. He's going to be hanging out all week, hanging out, learning stuff, watching what we do. Hopefully we can not screw him up. That's the goal. And we got Kenny is here. There's Kenny. Zach is still having a lot of fun with the little YZ85. The transmission is right. It's shifting. Now it's making a weird noise. Anyway, so first on my lift is this 300. It's actually pretty cool. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of electrical work. He has an HID light from Baja Designs that was on a 450 that he used to have. And he wants to see if it's going to work on this. So really the only way to tell, I mean there's probably a few other ways to tell. We could test the stator output, watts and blah, blah. Anyway, whatever. Quicker than that, we're going to take that headlight off, put this headlight on it, plug it in, turn it on, and then see if the battery charges with this on, because that's really all we need to know. So let's get this headlight off, and we'll get after it and see if we can get him a whole bunch of light for free. Guys, I got to show you something. But it didn't do that before. Well, maybe when it blew up. Okay, so. Whee! Everything is just awesome. So this little 85, if you guys have been following along through the Shlogs and all that stuff, you know that the transmission blew up. It's such a long story, I'm not going to go into it. But anyway, the tranny blew up, the gears blew up, we got new gears. Zach put them in wrong, then he put them in right. They're in right now, but then this is happening. See that? That shouldn't do that. And yeah, that is most likely a bent shaft. I can't imagine anything else that would cause that. This is sadness, ultimate sad. Leia, are you sad? Hey, puppers. She's so sad she's licking herself. Oh man, that is a bummer. So the awesome thing is the customer came by today and we said that we're going to have it done by the end of the day. Oh, because it should have been, but there's more broken stuff. And I've never actually seen a bent tranny shaft ever, honestly, ever. So yeah, that had to, yeah, as Kenny said just now, it had to lock up really hard to do that. So, all right, we're going to take this clutch off and then look at it really good with it off and see if maybe there's a bearing. I don't think that's the problem, but yeah, guys, yay. Anyway, let's go back to more fun things that aren't just sadness inspiring. So we got the headlight off. This headlight just has a 2-wire deal. It has a switch like the other one and everything, but it's just got a 2-wire thing. If you don't know how HID lights work, quick little instructional video here. So HID lights are an arc light, kind of like one of these fluorescent lights, although actually those are LEDs, but normal fluorescent lights, it's an arc through gas that lights up. So HIDs are the same way. So because of that, they have to have a ballast. And anyway, they're really, really bright, but they've kind of gone the way of the dinosaur recently because LEDs have gotten so much better. But they do make a ton of light. So I'm going to see if we can't plug this all in and make it work. Yeah, we'll see. I checked this 300 out. It's just the stock stator on it, so it is not charging this battery hard enough to run the HID light also and keep the battery charged up. It holds it at about 12.5, but I think it will actually slowly drain it if we were to ride it like that. So I got a call into him. He hasn't called me back. We're going to figure out if he wants to float the ground on the stator and get a little more power to the battery that way, or if he wants to put the other headlight on, or if he wants to get a new stator. There's a few different options. But Mr. Sheet is working on this beautiful, very new 450 EXC. We're putting a kickstart kit on it, and a Vortex ECU and handguards and a whole bunch of really cool stuff and tires and mousses. But the person who owned this bike before this gentleman, this is a 19, he barely rode it, obviously, because these are the stock tires. If you look at that, like, those tires don't have a lot of wear. Someone blocked off the air emission, the air injection system for him, and they did a great job here. If you look, well, there's a nice, pretty shiny bolt with a copper washer. But if you come over here and look down in there, you'll see the JB weld that they put into the intake track, which is hard to understand why someone would do that when all you have to do is just put a bolt in it. Because there's a fitting that comes out, it's a little brass fitting. You unscrew that, you get a normal bolt, put a little bit of thread locker on it, and put it in there, and it solves it. I don't even know why you do that, but yeah, we'll probably try to, I don't know. The problem with digging that out is that it could go into the intake track, so I don't know. We'll figure something out. Otherwise, really to do it right, we gotta take the head off, and I don't know that we really, anyway. So yeah, that's awesome. When you take your bike to a mechanic and they say they're gonna block things off, just make sure they do it right. Or if you do it yourself, just please don't use JB Weld on a brand new KTM. All right, guys. So working on Quay's bike, I talked to, that's this guy's name, was Quay, and I talked to him, and we're gonna float the ground on this stator to get more power to the battery, so that we can just run that HID without having to do anything else. So let me walk you through that. It's a pretty cool thing that you can do with your KTM Stator to get, basically the way KTM wires these bikes from the factory is they've got, well here, take a look at here. So you've got, this is the exciter coil. That's the coil that makes the power force spark, right? And then 2 or 3 of these are for charge, actually, I think it's actually this guy right here is just for charging the battery, and then the rest of these are for AC lighting. And I may be wrong about which ones are which, but basically there's coils for AC lighting that you can just plug and play, and that's why the bike can have lights really easily. But AC power is flickery and not that great at low, volts like this. That's also what your house has at 120 volts, but it's got a lot less. So, but they just trickle charge the battery. So that's why you can't just plug big things into the battery. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the charging coils and the AC coils and bring them together to charge the battery at a higher rate, so we can run this big bright light. Also, really exciting, guys, cordless soldering gun from Matco. We'll see how it works. If it sucks, I'll tell you not to buy one. So we're going to start by unsoldering this wire right here. All right, so I'm charging up that little cordless thing. It may not have enough juice anyway, so I got the real one out. There we go. So got our ground wire unhooked, and so the reason they call this floating the ground is we're going to unhook this from ground, because that's the ground lug right there. And this, because this part of the, I don't know what you call that piece. Comment below if you know what this piece is called. It's not an armature, but anyway, that thing bolts to the motor, which is ground. So you unhook that from ground. Now we're going to get the AC output off of here. So there's our AC output. This right here they call the center tap right there, and you want to pull this up and out of the way like that. Now we got to solder a wire, an extension to this. You can actually wrap this up even more and get more juice out of it, but we don't need even more power. We just need enough to charge the battery for that light. So I'm gonna grab some just normal wire, and we're gonna solder it to that with a heat shrink. Alright guys, so we've unhooked the ground wire here from that lug. We've unhooked the AC output and the center taps. Now we're going to solder this extension. Alright, so this AC output, we're going to hook it up to this other pole, and so there we go. Get our crack torch here. That's probably politically incorrect. I don't care. This though, I need to unhook these wires from this like holder lug and then just solder them together and tuck them out of the way. So I'm just going to clip them. Let's install that thing back into the cover. I'm actually going to clean this cover up really good because look at it, it's gross. Yeah. So I'm going to clean that up really good, then we'll be back and install it. Alright guys, so we've got the stator back in there, we got the ground all floated and everything, so now we're going to check it. Let me show you how we're going to do this before I bother doing all the wiring for the headlight and all that, just to make 100% sure this is going to work. I'm going to set the tank on it, and then I'm just going to hook jumper leads from the battery to the headlight, fire the bike up, and make sure it's charging. There's our voltmeter set to DC volts, touch it to the battery. 13.75. Now we're going to take and hook it up to the light. There we go. The light's on. Now we're going to look at the voltage. If I can touch them both. So it's 12.5. Alright, now we're going to start this thing and see if it hopefully goes up from there. Alright, now we find out. So it's only 12.6, which isn't that great. Alright, so it's not super awesome yet. I gotta check and see. I don't think I have to do anything with the regular rectifier, but I gotta check and see. Make sure that there's not a step I'm missing. Alright, so I forgot that I do need to put a different regular rectifier on here. I had thought about it, but I was like, maybe you don't need to. Anyway, you do. So I happen to have one. It's right there. I got it all hooked up the way it's supposed to go. Basically, you take the white and yellow wire from the stator, which are now connected, both making more power than they were before. Those go up to the yellow wires on the regular rectifier. Those go into some diodes and do the fancy magic things and then turn AC power to DC power. That then comes out on the red wire, which is hooked up to the yellow wire with the white stripe, or excuse me, with the red stripe, and then to ground. And so we're going to fire this thing back up and see if it works. Just did some struggling, but I figured out what was going on. Inside the stator, there's a connection I did. I'll put a little little video of it up here, what I was doing. It's the center taps, they call it. It's the connecting of the two charging coils. I didn't have a good enough solder joint on that because I didn't clean the wires up enough. I think they had too much epoxy on them. Anyway, I got that fixed, so I was like, woohoo, all right, we're good. And I had the right resistance between the two charging wires coming out of the stator. Tried it, didn't work. All right. So I was checking around. Okay, I had unhooked those things and put the tank on. Put them back on. Okay, great. Now that seems good. Try it again. Didn't work. Well, one of the times I slid the tank on, it bumped the positive wire. Let me show you. This positive wire against the frame, and it caused it to short and spark. And the reason I've got it all like this is I just want to test it before I solder everything together and make sure it's good. And I'm glad I did that because we found some other problems. So it shorted, and I didn't really think about it, but when it shorted out the fuse over here, the big main fuse. So when we put it all together and ran it again, it still didn't work, and it was driving me nuts. So we got all that sorted out. Everything's working good. Now I just have to clean this giant mess that I've made up and make it look pretty. And then we'll get the light on, and once it's all on and everything's like actually buttoned up, we'll check it one more time to make sure it's still charging the battery. But right now it's charging over 13 volts at idle, so we're good to go. Really happy about that. So you can float the ground if you guys are interested in that. It's actually a pretty easy thing to do. I just botched the one connection, so yeah, we're all good. Super happy. All right, guys, so we got the 300 all done. Light works. Bing, nice bright HID. The battery is charging now with that ground float. So if you have any questions about the ground float thing that I did, comment below. I'll try to find a link to some information on that, and I'll put that in the description if I remember to. If I don't, sorry. But yeah, that's all ready to rock and roll. I've got to give him a call. Now we're going to fix and hopefully finish the E-Start on the YZ250 now. Hey Shlog fans, so super happy guys. I got the YZ250 electric start finished up, really stoked about it. There it is, Panthera Motorsports e-start kit on the YZ250, and yes, it works really well. Super happy about that. Make sure you check out the other videos on installing that and then fixing the problems that I originally had. I just got done with that video. So it was not a flawless install the first time around. Took 2 tries, but we got her dialed in. The battery's charging, the e-start's working, it's not leaking oil. I think we are ready to rock and roll. So anyway guys, back to normal Shlog things. Pretty excited. Gonna be filming this. We're gonna do a valve adjustment on this, I believe, 16 Beta 500, or yeah, 2016 Beta 500 RS. That's coming here really soon. Also, we're going to be lowering really soon this 200 XCW. We got the actual OEM KTM lowering kit, so that's going to be rad. Yeah, so let's go check in on what Zach Sheets is doing. We are not working on the YZ85 right now because it makes him angry. And it's a pile. But look what I'm making him do! Yeah! He's having to work on a quad. Take that, Zach Sheets! That's what you get for a bent shaft in the YZ85. Yes. Oh, so funny, but sad. Anyway, but he was actually just putting a top end in an 85 SX and found this. Comment below if you've ever seen this happen. So the power valve shaft is that guy right there, and there's threads in there, and that's supposed to thread onto it, and it's not threaded anymore. It's very smooth. So that probably hasn't been running quite right for a while. But yeah, ugh. Anyway, so my guess is what happens when that happens is it just stays closed and it doesn't pull it open. But yeah, that's no good. So we got one of those ordered. It's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. It's been like a week or 2 of things not getting done because there's parts and all sorts of things. That's annoying. But Zach did get the DR250 done over there. We got the stator in that thing. It's working good. It has maybe other problems, but it's sparking, starting, running, and all that. So we're happy about that. We got to talk to the customer, see how far he wants to go, but that's probably going to be about that. All right, guys. Next up on the left is going to be a 125 SX that we are installing the JD jetting kit in. So I know I've talked about that and showed that before, but not on a 125. So let's check this thing out. I think it's an 18 or a 19. So let me go grab that thing and we'll get that jetted and rocking and rolling. All right, guys. Got the carburetor off. Let me just quick tip here. So on these newer KTMs that have carburetors still, it's really just easier to take this motor mount out. Like, so you can see there's a motor mount over here. There was one here. Honestly, it's 3 bolts. Take it off. Also, with the subframe, I just take the bolts out of the bottom, take the silencer off, loosen these top ones, and just lift that subframe up. It just makes your whole life easier when you're taking these things apart. So 125 SX has the same Mikuni carburetor as all the other ones. So I honestly don't know what size it is. Let's find out what size it is. So it's 38 millimeter, just like all the big bikes. It comes with the same dumb needle. Let's see. There you go. See that taper down there at the bottom? That's like super quick taper. No idea why they do that. It's a piece of junk, so we're getting rid of that. We got a JD kit for it. But in jetting this thing, and it's kind of gnarly, whatever, we're gonna dunk it in the ultrasonic and get it cleaned up. So, anybody know what that is? Let's see, is that focusing? There we go. I don't know what that gummy gnarly stuff is. This is a new bike. That's disgusting. So maybe when you get a new bike, open up the carburetor and see if there's jelly in it. I don't know. That's gross. The other thing we're going to do on this is replace the jet block gasket because I'm sure it needs that also. So, yeah. Alright guys, so doing the jet block gasket, and here, let me see if I can get this to focus. I feel like AVE. There we go. So this is the stock jet block gasket, and you can see how it's all bowed up and weird right there. So I'm going to take this thing off. And part of the problem with this is that it's rubber and it's junk, right? So we're going to install the JD jetting version, and it's not rubber, it's a metal. It's like an aluminum little thing with a rubber coating on it. Also, the JD kit comes with 2 O-rings for the needle and seat, and they're better than like the stock O-rings, so that's going to be better too. If you want to over torque these and tighten them down too much, you do want to get them tight. I had a guy actually call me from Nova Scotia who'd been watching our YouTube videos, and he was having a problem with his bike flooding when he leaned it over on the side after he had done the jet block gasket kit. And it turns out he hadn't tightened these bolts down enough, and it was leaking gas. Like when the bike would tip, it would leak gas up and into the motor and kill it. So you do want them tight. You just don't want to be a gorilla. Don't be Zach Sheets and get super angry with them. Now we're going to open up our JD kit. And I'm just going to read what to put in there, and that's what we're putting in there. So it's a 125 SX. He does more technical and trail riding than open desert and racing, like supercross racing. So we can go with that. We're between 5,000 and 10,000 feet. So the pilot's going to be a 32.5. Clip position is going to be the number 4. That seems a little bit low. So probably I'm going to actually fudge that and go a little bit leaner on the needle. But the main, they want a, on a 125, they want a 450. So let's pull the thing that came in at the stock one is a 480. Now we're going to set float height at so 8.7 millimeters. I dare you people to truly measure 0.7 of a millimeter when you're dealing with plastic and a cast body. Good luck. But anyway, we're going to set it at 8.5, 9, somewhere in there. And to set this height, all you're doing is bending this tang in to lower the float. So you want to be careful, but I just hold the thing like this in my hand and then come in here. And with a screwdriver, if you go in on top of it like that, you can kind of like just twist it. I like that. Somewhere between 8 and 9. Looks good. Put a little baffle back on here. By the way, if you don't know, this thing is just a baffle so that when you're jumping and hitting rocks and bouncing all over the place, it keeps the gas right here relatively calm. Because if the gas moves up and down, it actually changes the jetting. It changes the fuel mixture. So they put that on there to kind of help stabilize it. If you were to like lose this or crush it or break it or whatever, probably you'd be just fine. I do like to obviously put them back in because they come like that, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have one. The bike will actually run just fine. Maybe a little bit off if you're bouncing through a bunch of whoops or something like that, but it's not a huge deal. Alright guys, going to show you a quick tip for off-road riders. These two side vent hoses, like right here. So you run these up and over and down like normal. Then you take these and you run them up here and tuck them up underneath the gas tank. And what that does is if you're riding and you're crossing rivers and things like that, and right now it's winter, so if you're watching this and it's winter out of time, you're like, well, I wouldn't be doing that, but it happens all the time. If you're crossing rivers and you got your vent hoses hanging down, if you get into water that's up like this high and it's covering that, but you're still going, you're still moving forward, it'll actually kill the bike because it can't breathe, it can't vent, and gas doesn't go into the carburetor because the air's not coming out and you'll kill the bike. So the old school enduro racer's trick is you take these things and you run them up high underneath the tank and you're good to go. You still have these that if it overflows, it goes out the bottom, but these let it vent up high. Also keeps them out of the mud and stuff. So you at least have 2 vents that are working all the time. So it's a little old school trick for you guys. I'm sure some of you guys watching this will have known that. Yeah, we've been doing that forever, Morgan. You're freaking young. So anyway, it's true. Those old guys are right. So I like to do that on these bikes. It makes a big difference. The bike doesn't want to die when you go across rivers. And also if you do a big mud race, you're good. I'm going to button this thing back up. I'll check back in when we start it up. Right on, so it's running pretty good. I had to turn the idle up a little bit. But so now we're gonna adjust the air screw. I'm gonna check and see where it is and see if I can't keep it from dying, but so it was about 3/4 out. I just turned it to a turn and a half out, and you hear that how the idle came up a little bit. So that I like that. So the next thing I check on a 2-stroke is the throttle response. And on a 2-stroke of any kind, 125, 250, 300, whatever, you should be able to whack this throttle as hard as you want, and it should take off. So see what happened right there? That means it's probably a little bit too lean. So now we know we're gonna go back in a half a turn. All right, I like it. It may be just needing a little bit more tuning. I don't know, I might actually end up putting a little bit richer jet in it, the Pilot, but they're gonna come pick this thing up here pretty soon. It's definitely infinitely better than it was with the old jetting in it, so I like that. I don't think that has anything to do with the needle, but we may have to change that too. But I kind of want the kid to ride it and see what he thinks. I also don't have any idea what kind of mix he's running, so I need to know that because that can totally change the amount of oil that you put in your gas. Completely can change the jetting of the bike. So I think we're gonna run with it right like that for now, and we're on to the next job. All right, guys, so we're dangerously close to the end of the Shlog, but I wanted to introduce you to my buddy Nico here, who is out from Massachusetts. But where are you from originally?
From Chile, guys.
From Pucón, Chile, which I've been to, which is awesome. And what are you doing here? Like, what's up?
Just trying to a few things, learning stuff. And with you now, this guy is amazingly, incredibly good mechanic. So I flew all the way here to like learn from you, and it's been totally worth it, guys. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, so Nico got a hold of me through Facebook and asked if he could come out and shadow us here at the shop, and I doing my dead level best not to screw him up, give him too much bad advice. The problem is he's working with that guy, and that guy in his anger are doing horrible things for Nico. See, he said, shut up. And so he's learning the two sides of the coin. I'm the super nice guy.
Hard to deal with him.
Angry Zach over there. It's absolutely impossible. So, what do you do in Boston? Well, not Boston, Massachusetts, near Boston. So, what's your name of your place?
Nico Dirtbike Mechanic. You can totally see me, find me on Facebook, and this is what I do, like full time. Love it. It's been amazing, but there's always more room for more knowledge, and that's why I'm here with this guy.
Yeah, and so it's awesome. Been having fun. Of course, it's like the first snowstorm of the year, so it's been cold and snowy and weird, but it's, whatever, it's melting, it's all good. So yeah, we're having a blast. So I don't know if there's anybody else out there that's interested in coming out, like, let me know. You're more than welcome to come hang out.
Totally worth it. Again, absolutely.
As you guys know from the channel, I'm happy to give the information out. So it's not like I think I'm trying to keep secrets, except for from Zach. I've got a few secrets I'm still keeping from Zach to keep me ahead of it. But I'll tell anybody else anything. So yeah, guys, we're gonna finish this week up. I've got to do a couple services on some 450 SXs, and then I think tomorrow actually I'm gonna get up really early and go dawn patrol with that thing. So that video will already be out. So I'll put a card right up here of the video of me riding that thing, testing it with the starter and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll get some services done. If there's anything super interesting, I'll check in with you guys, and then maybe I'll just give Nico the camera and he can go sit in the corner and tell you his entire life story. And it'll be awesome.
You're gonna cry, guys.
Yeah, it'd be
cry.
so much sadness. It'd be better than if Zach did, because it would just be anger. Right on, guys. We'll check back in. All right, guys. It's the end of the week. We're gonna shut this thing down. I just rode the E-Start YZ250 for the first time this morning, and found a couple more bugs in the situation, but I think I got them both sorted out. So make sure you check out those videos. I've got a series or a playlist here. It's called something about the Panthera Motorsports E-Start. Anyway, find that thing, watch it. It's awesome. Zach is having a lot of fun. So if you guys want to comment below what your jetting specs are for a CRF 150R, because next week we might still be working on this. It had a bad stator. We replaced that. It's definitely better because it starts, but it's not that awesome. So, and Zach actually is angry. It's kind of fun to see. He's super pissed. So yeah. Anyway, that's kind of sad. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this Shlog. I hope that what we're doing here is helping you guys, and I really hope you get out and spread the gospel of two wheels. And as always, you know what I'm going to say. I hope that what we're doing is inspiring you guys to work on, even if it's a little bit frustrating and causes a little bit of anger, but also get out and ride your dirt bikes.